Hi, Solana people. This is Korean. I am back with a podcast. Sorry for missing Tuesday this week. I was on holiday on the east coast of Taiwan in a place called Taidong. Very beautiful. The ocean is really nice. It's also very cool, much cooler than it is where I am right now. Where I am right now is about 41 degrees Celsius, the real feel. So in Fahrenheit, that would be about 104 Fahrenheit. So it is hot. But it's nice. It's nice to be home, of course. But at the same time, vacation is always vacation. Anyway, we are back talking about Solana and our Solana Ecosystem Index. There's been a lot of news going on, and we're going to talk about the thing just now. I'm just going to call it the thing for now. But before that, we're going to talk about our Solana Ecosystem Index token. The current price is $2.24. Solana's price has obviously gone down because of the hack. The current total market cap is $283,390. The current constituents are right here. Serum, Marinade, Stake, Solana, Raydium, Orca. I do want to remind you guys that we are working on rebalancing SOLI with our new methodology. If you don't know what that is, go back and look at the last few podcasts, Pico and Solana one specifically. I do mention it there. You can also check out our Medium page. On our Medium page, you can find the new methodology and how it works. Okay, that is it. So let's dive into today's news. We have a few stories, right? There's only 4 constituents. We're still going to talk about Solana, of course. There's a video to watch from CNBC regarding the hack, but let's get started. So it says Solana SOL has far too many red flags, seasoned investor says. Cryptocurrency investor and researcher Justin Bonds, CIO of Cyber Capital Fund, bashes Solana's SOL technical design and accuses its team of misleading investors. All right, Mr. Bonds has taken to Twitter to share a thread on Solana blockchain and the SOL token. First, he stressed that SOL is the only blockchain that has gone down 7 times in the past months. Solana blockchain has too many red flags. You guys should definitely go and have a look at this thread. Lots of people have talked about that. Lots of people are like, oh my god, Solana is super fast. Solana is super useful. You guys know I'm a big fan of Solana NFTs. That being said, going down all this time, it sucks for users. And I don't think regular people who are just entering the crypto space are going to be understanding to say, okay, Solana's still working on their design. It's still terrible. Then the Solana team repeatedly released false statements about SOL's actual circulating supply. Mr. Bonds recalled a SOL wallet with 13 million tokens unveiled by a third party. Also, he added that Solana's statements about an unbelievably high peak throughput of the blockchain, reportedly over 400,000 transactions per second, are very far from being true. The very design of Solana's proof of history consensus doesn't look innovative to Mr. Bonds. Last but not least, Mr. Bonds claimed that Solana's newly announced Android smartphone Saga is just an attempt by Solana's team to pivot and cash out. Wow! That is pretty heavy. There are some valid concerns there. The blockchain speed, anyone who's used Solana or like any sort of Solana ecosystem in the last few days, in the last few weeks, they would realize that actually Solana is fast, but also not fast, because sometimes you're trying to do transactions, mint NFTs, and it's for having thousands or hundreds of thousands of TPS, right? It's transactions per second. Sometimes your transactions just do the little circle and it's just waiting and waiting. So it doesn't quite make sense, and then they're going down stuff. So those are definitely red flags for people who are entering Solana. That's something to think about. That being said, it does have a very robust NFT ecosystem. There are lots of cool projects. It's probably one of the more accessible DeFi ecosystems. So you have to sort of weigh it for yourself and see whether it's worth it or not. Now let's have a look at the Verge's article. So this is about the hack that happened. This multi-million-dollar Solana crypto theft linked to Slope mobile wallet. So I was keeping up to this. I woke up, I think it was Tuesday or Wednesday morning. I was on vacation. I saw the news about people's wallets being drained. And I'm like, oh my God, my Solana wallet. And my Solana wallet is attached to this PC where I do my podcast right now. So it's not on my MacBook, or not on my iPad, not on my phone. So I couldn't do anything about it. I'm like, oh, thank God there's not a lot of money on there. So at the end of the day, let me bring you guys the recent updates with everything that I've read so far, which is pretty much that this is related to Slope. If you have been affected and you're not a Slope user, if you probably were at least a Slope user at one point in time, I believe that is the reasons why, like some Phantom wallets, you can see my Phantom icon and the right icon over there, were affected, and other people were affected because they're all linked to Slope in some way. Let's read through this very briefly because there is a video for you guys to watch. So earlier this week, thousands of crypto wallets connected to the Solana ecosystem were drained by attackers who used owners' private keys to steal both SOL and USDC. Solana now says that after an investigation by developers, ecosystem teams, and security auditors, it's linked the attack to accounts tied to the Slope mobile wallet app. A chart set up on Dune to track the attacks tallies the amount of crypto stolen at just over 4 million, taken from over 9,000 unique wallets. Our researcher Tom Wright, you guys would have seen the Twitter account. I retweet him a bunch of times. He's done a cool Dune dashboard. I will put the link up in the video, so if you're watching the video, you can just go to the link that's you're seeing right now. If you're listening on the podcast, definitely check out the link in the podcast show notes. This sort of describes what is Slope Finance. Slope did not provide details of how the attack happened, but outsiders have uncovered evidence that the company's mobile apps were transmitting users' private keys unencrypted, right? Means they were unsecure, not safe. Anyone could access them as part of their logging and telemetry. So this is the tweet from the Solana group. Okay, so if you are still a Slope user and your account has not been drained, the recommendation is move your money to a hardware wallet. Some people have moved their crypto to centralized exchanges, which might be safer, which is definitely safer because it's not on your Slope wallet anymore. But you can decide what is best for you, but please be careful as always, right? There is no guaranteed security in crypto unless you put it on a hardware wallet. You guys know I got a Trezor wallet a month ago or 2 months ago, roughly. Very cool. It's definitely something that everyone should invest in at some point or another.
Solana, one of the biggest cryptocurrencies globally, swinging this morning after news of a widespread hack on the ecosystem. Kate Rooney joins us with the latest. Kate, not something holders of Solana wanted to see when they woke up this morning, huh?
Definitely not. Some tough news for Solana and some of those investors overnight. Thousands of wallets, Leslie, holding that cryptocurrency Solana were hacked overnight. It's the latest crypto exploit in just the past few days, and it adds to a long list of hacks so far this year. Data firm Elliptic estimates $5.2 million in funds were drained from almost 8,000 wallets. The stolen assets also included a small number of NFTs. I spoke to the forensic firm's founder, Tom Robinson. He says the root cause, still not clear. It appears to be due to a flaw in certain wallet software rather than in the Solana blockchain itself. He also said, this hack, it's a lot smaller than others, but it is significant. Usually these hacks we see in crypto are from one centralized entity. So think about exchanges, for example. This one, though, was across thousands of individual wallets, which are often seen as the safer way to store crypto. It initially hit the price of Solana. The token there is associated with the Solana blockchain. It was down as much as 7% overnight, rebounding a bit this morning. It does look to be down more than 2% right now. The network has really been billed as a big competitor to Ethereum, which has helped lift the price of that coin in the past couple of years. It's been used to build things like NFTs, for example. I'm told the sell-off overnight really was a knee-jerk reaction to some of those hacks. And Solana has had its share of issues with multiple outages, but its founders tweeting overnight that the hack does not appear to be an issue with the network itself. Regardless, many investors I'm talking to this morning say they've moved their token to what they call cold storage, or offline, essentially. In the meantime, that's because the Solana blockchain itself does not appear to have been hacked, as the founder said there, but the wallets and the keys that people use to move those cryptocurrencies called bridge protocols are the issue here. Those really knit all of these cryptocurrencies and blockchains together. This hack, like I mentioned, on the smaller side compared to some of the other $100 million hacks we've seen, it does add to some major ones this year, though. The Ronin hack was by far the biggest. Nomad happened just a few days ago. Nomad is another bridge protocol. It lost about $200 million. Those intermediaries have been especially vulnerable this year. Elliptic estimates that more than $1 billion, guys, has been stolen in those types of attacks so far in 2022. Back to you.
Okay, guys, now let's move on to our next piece of news. We're going to talk about Marinade Finance as usual. So this is about Marinade's roadmap. It is a somewhat lengthy blog article. We're going to go through the key points, and then you guys can read it as usual in the show notes by yourself. So this is their roadmap, sort of mid-year catch-up. It says this summer is very different from the summer of 2021 when Marinade launched on mainnet. Flashback to February 2021 when chefs began working on Marinade. Okay, this talks about the initial stuff. Decentralizing Solana was marked by 3 original goals set for 2022 end of year EOYs end of year. Grow the TVL by 24 million Solana. Progress 900,000 Solana. Grow the Nakamoto coefficient by 25. I'll put up a definition of what the Nakamoto coefficient is now. Grow the total number of validators by 5,500. Progress 298, and they're re-evaluating this goal. So this talks about the TVL, untapped stake pool potential, unstaked SOL 127 million SOL. I'm one of those people. I have not staked my SOL on Marinade, and that's because I've staked it on Binance instead. I would like to stake on Marinade, but like with staking on a liquid staking solution, not just Marinade, right? If you want to do the sort of double dipping thing, you need to have other assets, and I just have Solana, and sometimes staking on a centralized exchange is pretty easy. Super minority SOL 132 million SOL, Solana Foundation 80 million SOL, Marinade pulls 7.4 million, so they're actually quite small, but I love this art. This goes into the unstaked SOL. Top 29 validators, they hold 132 million SOL. That is a huge amount. The top 29 validators forming the security group, whether we like it or not, from 1/3 of the total stake of Solana. Most of them have been early investors to Solana and have been self-staking on their own validator node. Besides strengthening the network and unlocking the staked SOL liquidity, there is zero economical benefit from them turning their stake into Marinade. They would lose all their stakes since Marinade does not delegate to the super minority. Okay, interesting. Solana Foundation. Should 10,000 validators be a key priority for Marinade? Marinade initially had a plan to help onboard 10,000 validators to Solana, but in short, more validators doesn't necessarily equal more performance. Moreover, with current economic conditions and incentives, this goal doesn't make sense in the near term. Marinade would need to have a much bigger TVL in order to make it economically viable to further spread out the stake. What's next for Marinade? I revisit the delegation strategy, fee structure, and generated revenue strategy. I read the latest forum proposal on details on these changes. Please have a look at these. I reduce the team allocation at the expense of the funding team and allocate tokens to the DAO treasury. Wow, that's a big step, right? I mean, reducing the money that the team is making and giving it to the DAO, cool. That's a step in decentralization. A lot of protocols will not make that step because who wants to take money out of your developers' pockets? Build vote delegation to allow representatives to vote on behalf of delegators while aligning incentives between both the delegates and the delegators. Create an ecosystem MNDE grant program to support the builders and projects building on top of Marinade and mSOL. Ownership of MNDE treasury from the team multisig to the MNDE token holders. Bring more transparency into financials and tokenomics and move to the quarterly budget planning with funding requests to the DAO. Stress testing, governance, and contract audits, and exploring options to upgrade the existing Marinade DAO tooling. Transfer ownership of Marinade program parameters and the delegation strategy to the MNDE token holders. Market making for MNDE. Partner with leading market makers to get MNDE more widely distributed on centralized exchanges to reduce slippage and increase volume, resulting in more decentralized token ownership. These are some really good goals. Okay, we are running a bit short on time, so I'll let you guys finish reading that. The other sort of piece of Marinade news from Prince Zugen, as Solana's Nakamoto coefficient jumped from 27 to 29 very quickly. Solana is cheap, so people set up validators. Marinade Finance helping with decentralization. Shakudo_IO helping projects to set up validators. The SOL is not decentralized narrative is dying quickly. The SOL is not decentralized narrative is dying quickly. I think it's definitely not going to die, especially after the hack this week. That's very unfortunate for Solana, but an improved Nakamoto coefficient is pretty good. If you don't know what that is, again, go back to earlier in the video. Let's move on to our next project, which is Serum. Serum is excited to announce an official partnership with Magic Eden, my favorite NFT marketplace, to power the first semi-fungible token marketplace in Solana. The first Solana gaming project to utilize this marketplace will be Genopets, where users can mint and trade in-game SFTs. The partnership with Magic Eden will help propel the development of GameFi on Solana. Before we dive into the partnership, let's take a quick look at what SFTs are and how they are used in the Genopets game. SFTs, or semi-fungible tokens, have the same attributes and utility as NFTs, but can be minted in quantities of more than one. More resource efficient on-chain. Well, that's good. I didn't realize that. Okay. SFTs bring a Web2 gaming mechanic, stacking to Web3 gaming, allowing assets to be redeemed and traded in greater quantities. Okay, that makes sense. SFT assets notably improve the user's gaming experience and are more resource efficient for the blockchain. This could be something Sunflower Land uses. I think that would be great. The Genotype crystals were the first Genopets assets to follow the Metaplex fungible asset standard for SFTs, followed by the Terraform seeds. Both of these assets will be available for trading on our new marketplace with Magic Eden. Very cool. Serum's AAOB, or Serum Core, is an upgrade to Serum that allows Serum to match orders of trades of any asset. Wow. Using Serum Core, Serum becomes a universal primitive for any protocol, example SFT trading, that needs a decentralized on-chain magic engine. We look forward to working with Magic Eden to bring these streamlined experiences to Web3 games and gamers as we continue to expand the Solana GameFi ecosystem. Nice. So FTs and Genopets, something to keep an eye out for. Let's keep going and have a look at what is some other Solana news. All right, the Serum community is excited to announce a trading competition in collaboration with the Mango Markets. All right, so this is ongoing. Started on July 18th, but it's ongoing. It's up to $50,000 every week. Trading competitions are definitely something very interesting, and this explains what it is. If you're very good at trading, or if you're a day trader, this could be a good chance for you to make some money if you have that kind of money. I definitely don't, but something cool for Serum holders, something cool for people who are into Mango Markets and Serum. Definitely something to have fun with. Okay, let's move on to Raydium. New bounties for Raydium protocol live on layer 3 XYZ. Dune wizards will investigate the trends and performance of Raydium's ecosystem firms. 10 prices of 500 USDC are up for grabs. Check it out. So I guess you're investigating Raydium and something for you to have a look at. Dune, we've looked at before. We're not going to look at it today just because we are running out of time a little bit. But yeah, no, again, another thing, it's definitely Dune is one of those things. If you're really good at it, and if you're trying to get into crypto, if you're trying to work in crypto, if you have some experience with Dune, that could be something you put on your crypto resume. Okay, let's move on to our recent discussion with OX Infra is now available on YouTube, blah, blah, blah. It was great to kick off a DeFi deep dive series with a look at yield farming on Raydium protocol. So what exactly is this series about and who is it for? Here's a quick overview. Every week, Hubble will be hosting a Solana protocol to discuss a Solana DeFi topic. We believe that education will be the key in onboarding users to Solana. This is why I do the podcast. This is why we do the YouTube channel as well, to allow you guys to, when you're driving to work, when you're riding a motorcycle or riding a bicycle, you can listen to the latest SOLI news or Pico news or DFI news or just overall crypto news, right? And these talks aim to do just that: guides, risks, tips, alpha, going through all of it. For the upcoming talks, Hubble will host projects that will cover the following broad topics of discussion. So Hubble seems like a good protocol to follow: AMMs, automated market makers, Solana yield farming, yield strategies, CLLMMs, concentrated liquidity market makers, leverage yield farming. Jump into the Hubble Discord to watch the live sessions or ask any questions related to Solana DeFi in general. Cool. I like that. And as usual, guys, you guys can always come to our Telegram channel or our Discord channel. Jump in. I'm always there checking pretty much, unless I'm on holiday. And I don't think I'll be taking another holiday unless it's December or for sure next year in January. But yeah, if you are a Raydium fan, and as a SOLI user, you have to be a Raydium fan, you should definitely go watch this video and check it out. Let's move on to our last piece of news for today. Our last piece of news for today is, of course, is about Orca. You know, Solana has their space in New York. It says for the next few days, get an Orca So hat, Orca Note NFT, and Spaces Orca badge for completing the 3-minute in-store tutorial. Very cool. S-tier rewards package. There's the hat. I think I saw a badge somewhere around. So hopefully some of you guys took advantage of this and went into New York, or if you're in New York and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go check out the store and check out the Saga phone and Solana. That would have been really cool. I wish I was in New York, and there it says right New York over here. But no, I am not. Something cool for Orca people, a free NFT. Who doesn't like free NFTs? And then let's go into the last thing for today, which is Orca's Roadshow AMA, featuring Star Atlas CEO ATM Wagner is blasting off right now. You can see a whole bunch of people tuned in. 716 people. Star Atlas is the very famous game that is coming out, is going to be built on top of Solana. It is probably like something very similar to a AAA game that you might play on Steam or your PlayStation 5. It is a very beautiful game. It's still, I believe, a few years away, but it's still cool, right? Like that they had an AMA with the Star Atlas CEO. And if you're a fan of gaming, even though you might hate NFTs, you might hate blockchain, Star Atlas is a beautiful game. I would encourage everyone to Google it, have a look and see what you think. That is pretty much it for today, guys. I hope you are having a good week. Once again, apologies for missing a podcast. I will be taking another vacation in January next year. It will be longer, going to South Africa, but this was a bit cut short. I was quite busy. I had wanted to do a different podcast for Tuesday. I just didn't have a chance. But when I do go to South Africa for a week or so, I will make the effort to make sure that there's still 2 podcast episodes. I might pre-record a week early so that you guys have something to listen to while I'm not here. But yep, that is the plan. Next week, I'll be interviewing Christopher McGregor. He's the co-founder of Vesto.io. Vesto do a whole bunch of payment stuff. Very similar if you go back and listen to our very first episode with Bank Social. They're trying to help the unbanked, the people who are poorly banked. And it seems really interesting. I'm looking forward to talking to him. And next week will be a last week in DeFi, if I'm not mistaken, on Tuesday. So as usual, next week back to 2 podcasts a week. I hope you guys are enjoying it, and I hope you guys are being very safe in the Solana side. And then we will talk to you guys later.